Hello, I'm Chris Athenis. I'm a KMP developer. Tech Support said they're coming out Tuesday. For that, we hope, right? We always keep the hope open that they're going to come out and close that thing finally. The bane of my existence. Okay, GitHub. Does GitHub Copilot improve code quality? Here's how we lie with statistics by Jadharma's blog. I'm going to go ahead and read this article. I'm terrible at reading articles, but I'm going to do it anyway just for you because I want to get this out there. A friend, it's about this article here that came out from, I guess, GitHub about the code quality, and they're going through it here. This is about it's a couple months old, but it's still timeless stuff because this hype wave stuff. They have to push the stock price up by any means possible, including just lying to people straight out, over exaggerating how the impact of this is going to be. And it's just another tool eventually. Just like, oh yeah, it's just the thing we use to do the thing. And it's not going to write for us. And we're not going to get all our stuff finished up with the things, at least not anytime soon. And if that day comes, if that day ever comes, well, we're going to be living in a different kind of world. And at that point, you'll get a notice by email that your services are no longer needed at the office. All right, let's get into it. Okay. A friend shared with me an article on GitHub's official blog posting, boasting a scientifically significant study on GitHub Copilot's effectiveness. I read it out of curiosity, but it rubbed me the wrong way. So here's a rant about it. So instead of I do it, I like to do it on video, and he does it in a blog. It probably sounds better than on the blog form. I'll just keep going. I'll keep going. To understand my ramblings, you will need context. So here's the original article titled Does GitHub Copilot improve code quality? Here's what the data says. For the purposes of discussion, I link a few images directly from the post just in case they become available. Here's the web archive. He's like, yeah, they're going to bury this thing. All right, let's keep going. Acknowledging the bias. I make it no secret that I am against the AI hype train. I am as well. It's useful. I use the shit out of these tools, but it's not going to fucking take all of our jobs away. And anyone that relies on it too heavily, it's going to show in their work. Come on, this is what this is saying here. Okay. So as much as I'd like to stay impartial for this, I must acknowledge my internal bias against such findings of this study. I'm not a scientist either, neither am I. And my opinions aren't, but I do notice and can pay attention to facts and trends. Okay. And see patterns exist over time after being in this business for 35, 40 years since I was a little kid. Okay. I'm not a scientist either, but my opinions aren't facts. But as a software developer, I've accrued a fantastic bullshit detector towards tech marketing. And this article's maxed out its gauges. Yeah, I've got a pretty good sniffer with that stuff too after being bamboozled and people just so told how it's the most game changing. It's going to be the future. I've heard that so many times, and it's because the fanboys, they get a little excited. I get it. They can see it moving. Oh boy, oh boy, oh boy. But calm down, Francis. Calm down, Francis. We take one thing at a time. All right. I'm not a scientist either. My opinions aren't facts, but as a software developer, I've recruited fantastic bullshit detector. Okay. On the other hand, you cannot blame me from being skeptical of a big corporation conducting a study on its own products. Oh, that's independent. That's totally impartial, right? And since they only stand to gain if the conclusions are positive, like how many studies did they have to do to get this one? How many results? How much p hacking did they have to go in to get these results? Keep going. If anything, this just might be a biased dude versus a biased corporation. Yeah, I mean, everyone's got their biases in this stuff because there's a lot of bullshit flying around. And if you don't have a bias detector, you don't have a bullshit detector, you're gonna get bamboozled. And that's the entrance fee of being a tech worker. Is like there's gonna be a lot of bullshit flying around, and everyone's on them, especially younger people that haven't been through these cycles a few times. Yeah, it ain't always what it cracked up to be. That's the whole trough of disillusionment. It's like, oh, we didn't see that coming. Okay. If anything, this might be a bias. Okay. Will be not. Okay. If anything, this might be a biased dudes versus a biased corporation, but I hope that'll be, if not useful, at least entertaining. It's both. The headline. Let's analyze the headline with a bit of cynicism. It asks a valid question and promises an answer backed up by data. The subtitle reads as follows. Findings in our latest study show that the quality of code written with GitHub Copilot is significantly more functional, readable, okay, reliable, maintainable, and concise. Okay, wow. Those are your findings. Huh? That's pretty good findings. That's a lot of seemingly scientific, but you can't measure any of this crap. What are you talking about? Okay, let's keep going. The study shows as it improves. Okay, they're mixing their little study show. It means is it proven or that's just a kind of show? Maybe sometimes we hack the shit out of the study. Okay, keep on. The study shows as improves that Copilot writes significantly better code. If you stop reading here, you might be just convinced. Remember that word significantly, as it will be later. Significant. Since there are a lot of comparisons between people who used and people who didn't, I will label them Copiloters and controllers for brevity. So the people who did use it were Copiloters, and the people who didn't use it were controllers. So they're just doing the old-fashioned way of just writing the code. What was tested, the short and sweet, is this. The participants were all asked to complete a coding task. We're always, because that's all it is, it's just a coding task, right? Writing API endpoints for a web server. Okay. Are we doing this from scratch? Which library are we using? Does people have experience with it? How much experience with it? All right. Right out the gate, we see a biased experiment. CRUDs, one of the most boring, repetitive, uninspired, cognitively unchallenged aspects of development. Yes, but it pays the bills. It's what most people are doing out here. And Copilot is like an autocomplete for a lot of that bullshit. So yeah, we're not going to be redesigning moon missions or using some kind of, we're not going to use it to do some sort of narrow physics field to do some sort of anti-gravity software. Come on now. Of course it's going to be CRUD. One of the most, yes, it's very boring. Nonetheless, it's a worryingly large proportion of your Jira ticket backlog. Yes, cognitively unchallenged. Just getting that shit straight after 40 years of this type of programming, we should have better tools than we have right now, but for reasons we won't go into, we don't. We're still left with this coding and you type the numbers and keys. Like, all right, yeah, there are other ways of doing this stuff, but right now is what we're dealing with: AI running the source code, and humans having to interpret it. And honestly, that's the closest way you're going to get to making it so your customers want to use your stuff and it does what they want to do in a unique way. Some other unique thing that's not just CRUD, right? There's some other aspect of your service or just delivering a quality product at a decent price. That's kind of rare, right? All right, okay. Well, hey, let's be fair. That's what they want to automate with AI, the boring stuff. Exactly, so we can do the cool stuff. Well, I mean, maybe. Is that really whatever? Mostly it's about money. It's about like doing it faster, cheaper. Like I can do it 10 times faster than the guy down the street, or do 10 times as much for when they do one. That's not really cooler. I don't know where that got. But I like that stuff. I mean, you like that stuff, but companies are really not thinking about it. Like we make it cooler. Great bunch of our buttons and whistles on it. That's not really what does it. Okay, right. Okay. Although it's not honest to draw the conclusion that AI improves your code at all. At all? Okay. Okay. Without mentioning these improvements were observed in the place we'd most expect. Okay, I don't know what that means. All right. An API is a pretty complex thing when you consider all the different components. You need to wire it all together. Yeah, it gets complicated. I mean, but it's not. We're not doing anti-gravity physics. We're doing CRUD apps, which is still crazy complicated because everyone's got their own ways of doing stuff. A lot of the stuff that should have been standardized a long time ago hasn't been for these types of things. It's just, here's a new app, here's a new framework. Wow, jeepers scrapers, we got a new framework, guys. You want to learn a new framework, right? You want the one from Facebook? No, we want the one from Google. We're going to fight each other and everyone has to switch every 2 months. Okay. All right. Each group completed a coding exercise for web server of fictional restaurant reviews. Wow, okay. Straight CRUD. Okay, which is, bread and butter. Let's be honest. Okay. If that isn't the most spammed Code Lab Medium article, Stack Overflow marked as duplicate of the year task ever, I don't know what it is. I bet you GPT-2 can plagiarize that code after scraping Google for 2 weeks. Absolutely. If you really want to test Copilot, give it complex tasks, diverse tasks that involve huge SQL. No. All right. Maybe 5 years from now, maybe. Who knows? Regular expressions. Ugh. Ooh, You're already in like weird territory here. Like humans really should not be treading. Shell script deployments. Yeah, this stuff is super ugly. The way this stuff is developed, the way this stuff is designed, the way we've currently done it from the 70s, which was amazing for that hardware at that time. It was way better than do batch processing with Priest. No, it wasn't good. But this is about the how we're doing apps on the computer like this with all these different configuration files and all this crazy shit everywhere. Yeah, that's about to go away. That has to be simplified. All this stuff has to be. Is it ripe for radical simplification? Because we're doing CRUD apps most of the damn time. Now, for this complex diverse test, I don't think this Ace AI stuff will ever get there. It'll do the edges of it, but you got to tell it what you want to do, right? It'll write the stuff that puts it all together, like writes but what you want to do, for who's it for? Why are you making this thing? Who's it for? What's the context? It's all that adventure-driven stuff I get into. All right. If you really want to test Copilot, give it complex tests, diverse tests. Okay, shell script deployments. Woo! That stuff was, I don't think anybody can figure that out except the guy that wrote it the first time. And even he's like, I don't know. I got it working, okay? I had to ship it for the sprint to be completed on time. Anything more impressive than finding some REST stubs and type hints in Python? I mean, that's still hard for a lot of people. That stuff's time consuming. It's really redundant. It's like, you're repeating yourself and having to type everything. It's like, yeah, that was good around 1997. But we've got 30 years now to make this stuff better, but it hasn't been. It's so bad. It's so sad. It's ripe for change. Okay, the findings. Let's look at the claims made. All the numbers given are accompanied by impressive-looking p-values. In fact, you don't know, you know they've hacked this shit out. This is our own company doing their own study on their own product, and the conclusion is it's really great. It's a marketing brochure. And all fanboys go, look, a study. It's so goofy. Man, you just get burned by these a couple times and you'll be like, hey, are you guys making up stuff over there? No, we would never do that for money. On the stock market? No. We would never stoop so low. The key takeaway, which I take for granted as sake of argument. Okay, the key takeaways, paraphrased, are Copiloters are 56% more likely to pass all tests. Copiloters can write 13% more code before introducing code smells. And everybody knows what a code smell is, of course. It's universally accepted what a code smell is. These people, their words. All right, Copiloters are 33.6. Ooh, a mixed statistic. Wow, 3.6%. Okay, wake the neighbors. call the newspaper. Ooh, 3 points. You're telling me there's 3%? Where do I sign up? They're 2.94%. Oh yeah, that first. Yeah, they're really able to find out the reliable. What the hell does that even mean? 2.4. This is all like they're trying to make production. They're trying to make software development into this production line thing, and they've got a lot of people convinced you can do it that way. And the schools are not teaching any of the business people that software is like this whole other thing. But when people think it's like just a CRUD app, right? It's just a CRUD app. Well, maybe there's somewhat there, but true. But how are they getting these statistics? Okay, 2.47% more maintainable. Now, so how long did this study run, did you say? A week and a half, 2 weeks? Oh, so you maintained it for a week. Wow, it's 2% maintainable after a week. I want to see it after 17 years. How easy is it to maintain these people? All right, and 4.16% more concise. Oh, what is, okay. The code did something the same thing, but it's 6 lines less. Okay. Copiloters are 5% more likely to have their PR accepted. Oh, really? Is that? Ooh, a big 5%? Wow, and that's sustainable over how many studies? Have you had this new study reproduced, peer-reviewed? All right, misleading with percentages. Okay. The first thing you'll notice is that they Lead the article with the key takeaways measured in percentage points, which is misleading because a percentage means nothing out of context. Exactly, nothing without context. How convenient. A study made by the company promoting their product that have no context with the percentages? Oh, they would never do that. If I get a 3% increase in accuracy from the previous 90%, 95%, that's impressive. But if I get the same 3% increase from the previous 32%, much less so. Okay, right, percentages. We all know how percentages are. Some might argue that the code metrics are rounding errors since you all answer around 3%. Exactly. And GitHub says, no, it's significant. Wow, they're completely redoing the whole field of statistics because that I thought there was got to be like 10% to even feel it. If somebody cuts you 100%, they cut you 90%, are you really going to feel, oh, that's really quite different? Or I'm going to cut you 3% less. It's like, I'm still bleeding out. All right. It says, no, it's significant. Statistics said, yes, statistically speaking, they might as well be. But as an end user, would you even scoff at a bag of crisp claiming it's now 3% less oil? Exactly. I mean, statistically, in what realm? Man, people, if you don't make your product like twice as good or half the price or, 30% off, they're not going to switch from what they're doing already. For 3%, 5%, I'm going to switch over my entire stack and my workflow, and we're going to train all of our people on it. We got to get on it for that 5%. Come on. It's going to need more than that. And so even then they're like, no, this is amazing. It's like, come on now. Okay. So, so the fact that they're even, so here's the biggest thing. The fact that they have to put a study out like this and lie, they know that they're lying here. They know they're doing marketing stuff. I apologize for coughing. I got a little sore throat. But they know they're lying. So they have to fluff it hard. And the fact they do these graphs like this, it's not a real study, man. This is marketing brochure. And they're calling it a study even though there's no academics involved. Some kids, we got to push the product. We got to get this GitHub everywhere. We got to get a GitHub Pilot everywhere as much as possible because they got the maximum stuff so they can get their stock price high before the trough of disillusion hits, right? Which is, now. The biggest percentage was that 56% more likely to pass the test with flying colors bit. It's further explained in the visual aid. Unit test passing rate, GitHub Copilot access. All right, using Copilot. Okay, 30. What are these graphs? Not using. What do these mean? Did not pass all tests. Passed all tests. Okay, you got 39% here. 6. Okay, what? I don't. Okay. Right. Okay. All right. Please note the percentage of the graph do not add to 100 because the math was done by an LLM. Not sure why they lead with the negative bar, but I digress. Okay. It's weird. This whole arrangement is just, it's meant to confuse you, right? It's meant to confuse, and that's just another big tell. Like if it was, okay, look what they've come out and say, look, our code's 23% faster, and people are, what normally takes us a year, takes us 9 months. It's like that shit. It's like, okay, not 2 week period. We're going to test it for a month and p-hack the shit out of this before we get the data that makes sense. All right. Not sure why they lead with the negative bar. Okay. That's a pretty favorable indicator if GitHub Copilot is so good at preventing edge cases that passes all tests the first try. That passed all 10 unit tests. A what? A whopping 10, he says? Man, that's thorough. This either means the entire test was implemented in a single endpoint or that the tests are very shallow. I wonder how specific edge cases they were. I mean, it's an API, plenty of stuff to check, like content negotiation headers, status code subtleties, like 200 versus 201 versus 204, or whatever. There's a bunch of those, right? And to get them getting them right, and if you're involved in some enterprise operation, come on. So even if it does it right, it's like for your particular organization, for your code base, what is the correct thing to do? Is there a correct thing, or is it just random already? And like the AI is just getting up guessing or blame it, like, oh, it's screwed up because the rest of the code's trying to match the rest of the code. It's getting confused and they can't tell you. It's like, hey, your code's kind of confusing. We can't figure out how to fix it. Anyway, let's keep going. Oh, by the way, I didn't read your first half sentence. The 25 developers who authored the code passed all 10 tests. Wow. This is a major study of 25 developers. Hey, they did a major study, guys. The company trying to pump their stock so they can stay in business another 6 months. They get a major study. They say that 25 developers ace the trial of the unit test. Wait, what? So bear with me. We can have about 40% who ace, 60% who did, and 25% developers ace. That means that carry the one. That's 62 developers in total. But they said there's 200. Okay, there's 200. Split randomly in halves. And where the extra 40 controllers go? Yeah, so there's some odd things. The math here. Swapping definitions. It's this next statistically significant, according to p-value metric that they provide. P-value, okay. What is that even? Statistically valid for who? Right? Okay, they provide is an average lines of code authored per code error. Lines of code authored per code error. Using Copilot, 18, not using 16. Okay, this is exactly the misleading percentage talked about. It was first presented as 13% more lines of code on average without errors. Wowza. Then you look at the actual numbers, and it's a measly 2 more lines. But Dan, I hear you say, don't be so critical. I figure out having fun with this. Don't be so critical. I mean, after all those errors add up in time, you've got to be a little more open-minded and think about the big picture. You are right when you say, quote, well, bugs are best to be avoided, unquote. Best to be avoided. But I don't dare be as open-minded as GitHub from fear of rendering dictionaries useless. If you keep reading further in the article, they hit you with this gem. In this study, we define CodeARS as any code that reduces the ability for the code to be easily understood. This did not include functional errors that would prevent the code from being operating as intended, but instead errors are represented poor coding practices. What the hell does this even mean? Guys, this is total pablum. This is the age of you have to read just read the print. Not the fine print, just the print. Not just the headline. Just read the print. Because you start reading the print and get into this, just like every time there's this big headline, oh my god, it's the most amazing thing ever. That's all you have to do. It's like, well, not really. And only in a certain case, and we redefine this word. This means this, and this means that. When we say this, we mean that. We're not lying. We told you. Did you take time to read the article? Fuck no. We don't have time to read articles. We only read headlines, and then we go half-cocked. Okay, what? Wait, what? Here, errors don't include actual bugs or syntax errors. They include inconsistent naming, unclear identifiers. Fuck this. Excessive line length. Ooh, it's so terrible. Excessive white space. Whoa, don't put no spaces in there. Missing documentation. Really? Repeated code, excessive branching, or loop depth. Okay, what is that? How would you know it's excessive? Okay. Insufficient separation of functionality. What the hell does that even mean? Any variable complexity? What the fuck is this shit? Okay, that's not an error. Those are linter warnings. The only way you consider this valid is if you are one of those purists that say wall and W error. Yeah, those are switches to turn on everything. So that every CI build fails at least once. Okay, can't blame you. I do this myself times, and this wasn't what GitHub was doing here. What they basically, and sometimes it's, man, sometimes these warnings are specious. Sometimes it's just not worth dealing with, all the fucking error warnings and stuff. But this stuff does get out of hand. It would be nice to have an AI go take care of that stuff for us. That stuff's so annoying and tedious, and you end up going down these paths and you find out some errors. Oh, yeah, that's a bug in the thing. It's like, oh, God. I just wasted a day and a half dealing with this crazy thing, and it's just a bug. Oh, great. Maybe I should let it be a warning from now on and move on to the other tasks. Actually push the needle forward. These people, it's crazy. This industry is completely bonkers. What they basically said is it's not an issue if you have logic errors. So long as your formatting is pristine, we can fix those later. Right now, what's important is getting A on SonarCube's quality gate to please the PO. Product owner, right? That's the PO, product owner. Okay, that's the guy with the money and so, like, wants to get his CRUD app out the door. All right. Quality measure and evaluation metrics. Next, they show you how, on average, and remember, statistically significant, Copilot produces 3% better more code, and here's shown here. Code submission ratings by quality measure. Percent difference means for Copilot and non-Copilot code with reviewer fixed defense. What the hell is all this crap? It's readable, reliable, maintainable, concise. What the hell does that even mean? Okay. Code style and code reviews are highly subjective. Of course it is. All this stuff is super subjective. Because who is it for? Why are we doing it? What do they want to see? There's all kinds of ranges from like hardcore engineers down to consumers that don't want to even know what this thing is and are just annoyed even being in your app. Who is it for? Why are we doing this? All that stuff is completely subjective. We have 4 or 5 different hundreds of photographs with these main photography companies have been getting into photography. They all name stuff differently. They all talk about it differently. And it's just still taking images through a lens onto a sensor and getting it on the machine. And there's a billion ways of doing it. And every camera's got different things that they're trying to do. And the high-end ones, you wouldn't even recognize anything that's on there. And the low-end ones are all pictures of people. And you're super simplified. You got to hack your way around it just to make it do anything. So who's it for, right? The entire flame wars have waged over ESLint rules, which is the most ridiculous shit ever. But it does, I mean, there's a limit to that stuff. But when people are fighting over it, come on now. Missing the point completely. Indentation styles, curly placements, and other pedanticisms. Yes, all that stuff is, a lot of this stuff is pedantic because it's the stuff you can see, right? And autists like us, we really get fixated on the things we can see and the things we can change because we point at it and we can argue about it. And we can say, this is this thing. Where there's other stuff that you can't be argued about or aren't allowed to be talked about. So we fight over this bullshit because we can't talk about, maybe we shouldn't be using Jira. Maybe we just do a to-do app. Maybe we just have a to-do board. Doing this Jira crap with the 5,000 different switches from 65 different companies that are required by Salesforce. So we must all agree that the human intuition is the only metric that we have on the categories being tested. Exactly. Experience, context, like why are we doing this? Who is this for? Is this important on this project at this time for these people? Or not? We can skip it. We don't have to do everything by industry standards, whatever the hell that means. It's more marketing bullshit. Okay, fair. Except we don't know how they did it. There's no mention of whether they use grades, stars, points. They don't even tell you. See, I didn't read this article. I was like, screw this article. I already know what it is. We're the best. It's got so much better. There's things you got to know. And there's look at this. It's very important. Ooh, Jared Bauer. He's a staff researcher. He had nothing. So what would happen to Jared if his research came out? We're good that your CoHub thing is actually ruining code bases, and should not be given to people to start to beginners. It may help experienced people improve their workflow, but you can't give this to people, and it definitely won't replace anyone anytime soon. You guys need to go back to the drawing board and figure some more stuff out for the next 7 or 8 years. Do you think Jared is going to be this staff researcher GitHub for much longer if he says that? Okay, keep going. For one, I'm very curious to know how the metrics were measured according to them. I should email to ask. No, don't. You don't. You can email them, but you know what Jared's gonna say. Come on now. Is he really gonna? Oh no, you're right. You caught us. You caught us red-handed. Oh, you're so clever. We'll go ahead and do a redaction and a follow-up. We'll do a follow-up study on that, and we'll let people know what the real deal is. Come on. It's nuts. All right. Okay. According to them, I should email them because they must be very accurate. Yes, with all those percentages in the 1 to 3% range, you must have a fucking data set to dream of. Okay, small p. Okay, if their results prove within such small p-values that improvements in 1 to 3%. Also, humans have biases. No shit, really? Towards their own convictions. No, you don't say. We can prove this by looking at all the people who swear that by JavaScript is objective. The worst language. I like JavaScript. It's one of the only true object-oriented programming languages that Alan Kay talks about. But people, again, academia has thrown us under the bus because they were like, no, figure it out. And industry is like, no, this is trade secret. How we use these languages, what they're for, how to teach people how to use them, and how to write billion-dollar software packages. Yeah, that might be a trade secret. How to arrange people, how to arrange projects, who to pick to be on a project, who to exclude from projects. Yeah, and what kind of projects that they can handle or not handle. Oh yeah, that's trade secret. And okay, and would naturally incline toward better scores to code more closely aligned with their own style. It is therefore extremely difficult to conclude whether, if Copilot does indeed produce more readable code, is it because it's objectively more readable, or is it just more popular format? Exactly. Is it the way you are expecting it, or is it better and just haven't figured it out yet? Okay. It also seems that the same developers who submitted code were tasked with reviewing 10 other submissions, grading each other. I would have preferred to have a third impartial group grade these, but I guess they couldn't afford a bigger sample. Brutal. Oh, rough takedown. At the very least, I can appreciate they only made the developers who passed all unit tests to the reviewing. But remember, dear reader, that you're baited with a 3% increase in preference from performance, maybe from a 3% increase in preference, right? Because this is all super subjective. From some random 25 developers whose only credentials, at least mentioned in the study, is holding a job for 5 years and passing 10 unit tests. Yeah, who are these people? Who are these people? How much experience do they have? What kinds of stuff? Are they allowed? Are they doing it over again? Were they given any instructions? We have no idea. This is not a study. Just want to point that out. I don't know if I want to keep going. It looks good to me. Ship it. Their final beautifully rendered graph is one showing how you can get a 5% increase in PR approvals without comments. Percent of code submissions approved when authored with or without GitHub Copilot. So it's got using Copilot. These graphs are very odd. Not using, okay, yes with suggestions. Okay, oh, look at these graphs. They're trying to hide it. They're trying to obviously obfuscate what's actually going on, which is not much. It's even if they could just, why don't they just lie about it? Maybe because Jared has, maybe he has a little bit of a heart. Maybe he doesn't like to lie. Maybe he's like, could you just lie a little bit? Could you just lie a little bit for us? Okay, I'll lie a little bit, but I'm not going to put my name as a researcher. I'm not going to be totally on board with this, but I'll give you 5%. How's that? Okay, it seems the Copiloters get a 5% boon in PRs approved without comments. Right here, 5%, right? Compared to controllers. I wonder if they got reviewed after the lunch break. What is he doing here? What is this stuff after the lunch break? Hungry judge effect. Oh, Jesus Christ. All right. Let's keep going here. Oh. All right. What the hell? At any rate, it seems like the rest of the outcomes are relatively close. Okay. At any rate, it seems the rest of the outcomes are relatively close percentage-wise. What I would take away from that is that even with a test acing Copilot, you still have a 4.3% chance of submitting code so bad the reviewer closes the PR instead of offering a comment. Brutal. All right, sample size. Okay. GitHub prides itself with being home to 1 billion developers. I mean, not really. We just put our stuff there, guys. We just put our stuff there. You're not home. Get the fuck out of there with this home. Oh, you're home. Oh, no, we put our files up on your servers. On some server farm someplace else. This is branded with your bullshit. You're a wrapper for GitHub, for Git. Oh, you're home. I feel so at home at GitHub. It's like, get the fuck out of here. Yet could not, for the purposes of researching of researching one of their most insistently advertised products, bothered to study more than 243 developers. Yeah, they have billions of developers, really? And they can't get a bigger study on their GitHub Copilot? Really? The Microsoft. We're talking about Microsoft here. They can't quite get it. At their home for developers. Get the fuck out of here. That small sample size alone should be enough to dissuade many, but there's even more subtlety. Half were randomly assigned GitHub Copilot access, and the other half were instructed not to use any AI tools. Okay. I'll be nice to them and give the benefit of the doubt here, just hypothetically. They only specified the control group was instructed not to use any AI tools, and not that the control group is made of developers who didn't use any AI tools. It would be so funny if the marginal decrease in performance was what they were suddenly deprived of a tool they so regularly used. Right. If there are, so are these guys that just never use AI tools, or they've been using them and they kind of quit to do this fucking study? At the beginning, like, we're just not these cogs. People that I guess these production-oriented minded people who are running these big corporation businesses really, really want this to be a cog. They really, really want every app to be CRUD. They really, really want every single developer to be a replaceable cog with H-1B who will make $437 a year. This is what they really want. They don't understand where all this stuff came from. They don't understand how it's put together. All they see the magic at the end, and it's and people being quietly, developers quietly just putting stuff, doing way more than they really should, honestly, because they're not getting credit for it. Okay. At the beginning, they state there were 200 developers, split in half using Copilot, and half being a control group. But that's not the whole story. There were actually 243 developers, so 121 and a half used Copilot, and 121 didn't. So there's a lot of this is the crappiest study I've probably ever seen. Well, no, I mean I've probably seen worse, but this is near the top 10. This is definitely top 10. Out of those, only 104, respectively 98, gave valid submissions. What constitutes a valid submission? Is this some p-hacking shit? In the context of trying to evaluate code, your guess is as good as mine. This stuff's all subjective. Does it mean that they opted out of the study? I don't know. They don't say. Does it mean that you submitted code that did not compile at all? Why does that count? It's pretty important. And just to be pedantic, 104 versus 98 means 6% more compilers than controllers. Is that significant? These people. Other research. Okay. The article prides itself with being the first controlled study to examine GitHub's Copilot's impact on code quality. I won't deny them that, but because they really controlled the environment all right, let's perhaps look at other less controlled studies on GitHub's Copilot's impact on code quality. In 2023, GitClear published a paper where the data suggested a downward pressure on code quality. If you can't be bothered to register for the PDF, take a look at this article summarizing it, or I have the Parmesan ASMR for you. Exactly. This is the table I show to AI coding enthusiasts. Operation, added, year-over-year change, 3.1%. So deleted, updated, so moved, copy-pasted, find replaced, churn. Okay, so even in their own GitHub article, GitHub admitted, while the number of commits and the lines of code changed was significantly higher for the GitHub Copilot group, the average commit size was slightly smaller. Okay. What do those higher number of commits and lines of commits is also are just why are we doing stuff like this? Anyway, I got issues with the whole thing, how it's all put together, and how we're approaching these things is it's specious at best. What do those higher numbers of commits and lines of code change actually translate to in real life project scenarios? A significant decrease in the moved code, meaning that there was less refactoring, less cleaning. A significant increase in copy paste, meaning there's more duplication, which ironically GitHub considers an error and therefore reduce maintainability. I mean, that's one aspect of it. A significant increase in churn rate. Yeah, this plus 39%. That means they got to redo stuff that's already done and already over again. Meaning code once committed was much more likely to be altered soon thereafter, but surely it's not because they caught bugs too late and came back to fix them. It's because AI is so helpful and you just want to use it again. Okay, to be clear, I'm not trying to cherry pick this one or other study that happens to confirm to my worldview. I mean, it's not hard. It's all this stuff is biased anyway, and yes, there's use cases for it, but it's not going to be this panacea that they think it's going to be, that they're hoping it is. Right? This is really their hope because they don't got much left. They got war. They can do that. That's one of the things they love to do. All right, but their hope is AI can fix this human issues. Everything's great except these damn people, right? To be clear, I'm not trying to cherry pick this one or other study that happens to conform to my worldview in order to convince you or otherwise. But I would much rather trust a study made across 3 years that just observed behavior in actual scenarios spanning tens of millions of lines of code than a few hundred badly written controllers and a fictitious proof of concept level test-driven development lab test. Exactly. Conclusion. I was very disappointed with how little effort GitHub made to give credibility to Copilot's marketing, and even more baffled. Me too. This is kind of crazy that they put this out and left it up there. And even more baffled that after all this contrived experiment, up to 5% improvement is almost exclusively subjective metrics still seem to them to be an achievement to worth brag about. Yeah. I think this guy might have just been like, fuck, I gotta keep my job. 5% of people aren't gonna kill me over. Because even if you were to grant them an objective 5% improvement in overall productivity, this does not seem to be even attempting to be aimed towards developers, but rather has the perfume of marketing. Yeah, that's what I'm saying this whole time. Catered to the C-suites with buying power. Exactly, pump the stock buybacks, and trying to convince them that $470 per dev per year is better spent with them. What the fuck? What the hell is this shit? Oh, this looks great. Let's see what this is. What is it? Okay, number 4. Copilot. Okay, so $470. Okay, so I already talked about this. I guess they're doing this enterprise shit. Okay. All right. Okay. To convince them that $470 per dev per year is better spent with them to squeeze out as much bang for buck from their human resources. Yeah, fucking human resources. Right here. This is really what it's all about. Like, how do we keep our human resources? How do we keep our head count a little lower? And I'm up to piece that put that right on our bottom line. For you as for you developers, if you can't write good code without an AI, then you shouldn't use one in the first place. Right. So they have this thing about, if it writes it for me, then it writes it for you. So, well, no, you have to read it. Most of what we do as developers, if you haven't figured it out, is reading other people's code. And not just yours you wrote a while ago. It's like all kinds of other people's code. How they're thinking about things. Their confused thought patterns and weird idioms and strange things they picked up on ideas. Things they're avoiding and using this weird construct because they want to avoid this thing over here because they're scared of it and they want to pad their resumes. They got to use this weird technology in this place. It doesn't really make sense. Tons of that shit. Yeah. So, and that's all just economics. Yeah, welcome to the world. Okay, so instead of spending it on employees as persons, exactly. So that's why a lot of this stuff, if it's grading you the wrong way and you've been in the industry long enough to figure it out, the adventure driven, I got a whole series of that, is the only way out of this stuff. Because this is what they'll continue to do. We as adventure-driven developers, we can still use these tools, but we're going to be realistic about what the fuck they can do and what I need to improve to make my code and my understanding of how this stuff works better. Not just relying on the machine. Let the robot do it. Let the washing machine do it. Wash the dishes. I don't need to know how to do that. Wouldn't it be nice if it was just like that? It was just close up the washing machine, put the code in there, it spins it around and pops out your app. Wouldn't that be awesome? Yeah, not likely. And because it's all about taste, context. who is it for? Like, who is this? What are we doing with this for? No, we must make a CRUD. Even though the whole thing about CRUD is like, there wasn't a CRUD thing at one point. It was just like, we're just getting data off a server somewhere. Well, no, that's creating a record that needs to be read and updated and deleted. Jesus Christ. And as for you developers, if you can't write good code without AI, then you shouldn't use one in the first place. Well, I mean, it's okay. Beginners should not start with AI. If that's the way you start, you think you can just skip that whole thing about learning how this damn thing put things put together logically, you're never gonna make it. Just give up. Just stop. If you're not willing to put in the 750 hours that it takes to even just to get started, to get traction on this fucking thing. If you're not enjoying the journey of the ride, you're like, I gotta make an industry standard. If you're paying attention to that, I got the linter, I gotta tune my linter. If you're getting into that shit, it's like, you're missing the point, man. Missing the point. Okay, no matter what space age technology the AI overfitters come at you with, nothing can substitute personal experience and pride in your craft. The craft part is like, maybe I see it, but it's like more like, how do we design a solution that's really great for our customers that makes them go, how the fuck did you know how we want to do it? Well, it's because we listened to what you said and we did what you wanted, and we also knew the stuff that wasn't going to work out and you would be pissed off at, and we head that off at the pass, and because of our experience of being in this shit, doing this shit for a while, making a bunch of mistakes and seeing it blow up in our face and go, maybe we should try and do that a little different next time. So that's really what programming is. It's more social studies than technical, and it's gonna become more and more of that. You still gotta know how that shit works. Can't get away from that. Give me a like, subscribe. I'll talk to you soon.